Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm John Khosravi, immigration attorney, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. And for those who catch the recording later, will catch me unrecorded. Today is January 26th, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, where we come every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time to take your immigration questions live for educational purposes, not for individual legal guidance, so you can get to know immigration law better and see what's going on as up to date as possible in most of the case categories. My office doesn't handle everything, but we could help you a lot. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, like and subscribe wherever you're watching this, so you get updates. We do a lot of videos and clips as well, both short clips, long clips, videos, all this kind of stuff, all over the place, and you'll get a lot of help and guidance on what's going on in the U.S. immigration world. If you want to email me, my email is info@jqqlaw.com. And for those watching the live show, we do give out 3 free video consultations each show. If you're watching every 10 minutes, so in 10 minutes from now, 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes at the end of the half-hour show, all you got to do is like and subscribe and write consultation wherever you're watching this. And my wonderful assistant, Kayla, will announce somebody behind the scenes to me, and I'll name them off so that they can get a 15-minute free video consultation. I'll give instructions on how to set that up once we name the person as well. So with that, let's get the program started. All right, so everybody, has so much news that's happening. We have a different show I do with my associate Anya Sergeyeva that goes through the news and where we talk about it. There's a bunch of additional changes and updates that happen with USCIS regulations for student visas, NIWs, O1s, and a lot more expedites and all this kind of stuff. I might talk about it. We have some downtime in between the questions, but the Immigration Talk is the show. Immigration Talk episode 11, probably coming out in a couple of days or next week. Definitely check it out. It'll be on the podcast and also be on YouTube where you can check that out. We'll have clips of the main stuff there. So that's a great show to take part of, to watch, to get updates on the U.S. immigration system. Other than that, if you're interested in doing a marriage immigration case, what you got to do is download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide to learn the actual strategy, the forms, the process involved for getting a marriage or a fiance-based green card in the United States, or consular processing, all the information you need to know what's going on before you even talk with an immigration attorney, so you could ask proper questions so they know what's going on. And where to get that free guide is going to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, that's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. So download it, and then if you want to schedule a time, just email me. We're waiting for more questions to come in. One of our viewers, Elizabeth Darby, says good night to you too. And we're all over the world, so good day, a good morning, good day, and good night to everybody who's watching. There's a lot of things popping up. So our first question, Alex asked, "Hi John, I have a question. Why are some people asked to put the biometric fingerprints to renew the green card from 2 to 10 years, and some people are not?" So let's back it up. Biometrics is a process where you go into a location when you're dealing with USCIS for some forms. They take your fingerprints and they take your photo. It's a cumbersome, it's an annoying thing you got to do extra. But typically the situation is like this. Now, USCIS is kind of random. We can't, there's sometimes no logic that we could decide for us the reasons that they do it. But essentially, if they've already had fingerprints done recently, so if you're in the United States, you applied for adjustment of status, you're going to do a fingerprinting for that. And then if you get a 2-year green card, which is based on if it's a marriage green card, for example, and your marriage is new, you get a 2-year green card. So when you go to renew your green card, the 2-year mark, they already have your green cards in the system, so they don't require it again to get that 2-year green card approved to become a 10-year green card. But that's if you had adjustment of status in the United States. However, if you did consular processing, you were outside the United States and you did your visa interview at a U.S. embassy, then you flew into the United States, USCIS does not have their own fingerprinting done because you weren't in the United States. You go through your biometrics with an application support center, an ASC. So because of that, those people are probably going to have to do a fingerprinting session for their I-751 removal conditions, the process to take it from a 2-year green card to a 10-year green card. But it's not just that. So if you did adjustment of status, have the fingerprints in the system, if you file for reentry permit, they probably get, it's not guaranteed, they may lose the file, their fingerprints on file, they may just want it over again. But I-90, 10-year renewals, the I-751 for citizenship, if they have this kind of stuff in the system, there's a good chance they're not going to ask you. It's a recent phenomenon, last maybe 3, 4, 5 years, because they're just, getting backed up, asking for fingerprints for cases where they already had the fingerprints done. So it's a good question, but most likely the adjustment of status, you're not going to need to do fingerprints again at the 2-year mark. But if you did consular processing for your green card, then you will. Chinyeri says, good day, JQK. Chinyeri watching from Austin, Texas. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Good to see you in Texas. I appreciate you watching. Zadzidu, something like that, says, what's the reason behind interview canceled and notice ordered? I think what's happening is a process. Sometimes, you have an interview scheduled with USCIS and you get an appointment notice, and then all of a sudden online updates that interview canceled, and they'll send you notice about it. And, it's just sometimes, there's scheduling mistakes that happen. And so they realize that. Every time it's happened to me, it's nothing been our fault. It's just the office double booked maybe, or they didn't have an officer on hand, or it was a mistake for scheduling your case. So usually it's an error. I haven't seen it be more than that, but I haven't seen every case. But sometimes they schedule interviews and they cancel it by mistake, or either book it by mistake or cancel by mistake. All that stuff happens, but you just want to make sure to keep track of it, because I've seen cases where they get cancellation notices and then later on they get denied because they're saying, why don't you come to your interview? And they're like, well, you told me not to come. So you want to have proof that they canceled. Take a screenshot if they update it online or something like that, so you can show it, so you have the case reopened. This is part of the headaches of this system. Love, one of our regular house. What does administrative processing mean? So administrative processing means a lot of stuff, but when you're dealing with the embassy system for a visa, either immigrant or non-immigrant visa, if they don't approve your case on the spot, they do what's called administrative processing, and they issue a refusal. A refusal is not a denial. It's just refused. It could be denial, but it's a horribly worded way they do the system. But refusal means administrative processing. It could mean they need more documents, so I'll give you a piece of paper listing what documents they need. Or it could mean that they need to do more background checks. They need to think about it. So you just wait for them to respond to you. If it takes too long, nowadays a lot of people file lawsuits. Administrative processing is very troublesome process, because sometimes it takes years for your administrative processing to end. And in those cases nowadays, once frankly it gets past 6 months, then we start looking at filing a lawsuit for delay. But it depends on the case. So sometimes it's you better wait. Vlogger man asks, can I apply for emergency travel document if asylum applicant for other country? You can always file for an emergency travel document, advance parole, but I wouldn't recommend it. And it's haven't done anything like that in a long time. So it's something to have to research, see what's appropriate for your case. But typically, if you have an asylum case pending, you do not want to leave the United States. 29 Super C, one of our regulars. Good night, Attorney Castrava. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I've had a long day. I'm a little exhausted, but we're going to keep it going for the show. Can you explain the visa waiver for some of the non-immigrant visas announced by USCIS? Would this also happen in the consulate worldwide as well? Yeah, the visa waiver, I think you mean the interview waiver. Is that what you're talking about? What they announced. So the visa waiver program itself is if you are a citizen of certain countries, you have the passports of certain countries, you don't have to do an interview. You get a visa waiver. You have to go online to a site and get an ESTA approved, ESTA, electronic, ESTA, what does this stand for? Electronic something travel authorization. And that's a visa waiver. But if you mean the visa interview waivers that have been announced, is that for some cases, like if you already had a visa approved recently, you don't have to go do another interview, because the embassies are so backed up, they don't have time to schedule interviews. They've loosened it up. We're up to the discretion of the consulate or embassy. They can waive coming in for an interview for certain cases, not for green card cases, immigrant visas, but for non-immigrant visas. It depends on the case, but that's it. And some it just really is at the discretion of the consulate or embassy. So, and most embassies are not using that discretion. So it's all in place, but it's a good system if it's used. BO Dad says, hi, JQK. Can a B2 visitor, non-immigrant, adjust status on EB3 case? The non-immigrant is a nurse. So let's back it up what that means. A B2 visitor is a person who has a tourist visa that enters the United States saying, I'm coming here to visit the United States, but I'm not going to stay here. I'm only here temporarily and I'm going to leave. But then if you file for an immigrant visa, I mean, you file for a green card adjustment of status, you're saying, I want to stay. So there's an inconsistency there. Now, the reality is, most lawyers, and there's lawyers on YouTube automatically say you're going to get charged with fraud for doing this. What I have to say, and what the way they view it is with USCIS, if you enter the United States and that wasn't your plan to stay, but all of a sudden things change and you file for adjustment of status, they could be okay with it. It's a case-by-case basis. You have to look at the facts. You have to look how we could prove that that wasn't your intent if asked. It is possible, not recommended doing something like that. There's a lot of people with the nurse case where their embassies are not scheduling their green card interview, so it's easier to come to the United States and file for adjustment of status and be here because they'll probably, especially in the Philippines, with how bad things are backed up. But it's not something I could recommend someone does because there is a risk that they'll accuse them of immigrant intent and fraud and lying at the U.S. embassy or at the border when they're entering the United States, saying that they want that you came for tourist purposes, where in fact you really came to adjust status. So it's not recommended doing something like that. But I had cases when COVID happened where people came on tourist visas. They're gonna go back home. I have a marriage case right now. She got an interview really quickly. They from Australia. They came here to visit, and then Australia locked the country, and the Australian citizens couldn't even go back to the country. And all of a sudden, the guy was with his girlfriend, and they're in love. They want to get married. Anyways, they're engaged, but they're just having fun and not like they didn't plan on getting married immediately, but they were waiting and waiting for Australia to open up, and they're living together. They're like, you know what, we were going to get married anyway. Those are the plans. We're just it was a matter of just picking the day and telling the family of this, do all the wedding planning. That's a lot of work. They're putting that off, and so they knew it wasn't a fake marriage, real marriage. And they didn't come in with the intent on staying, but they realized we ain't going back to Australia because it's not clear when that's going to open up. And the wife found a good job here in the United States, so she's like, "Well, I have an opportunity here now. Let's just stay here." And they're like, "Okay." So we got married, they're gonna have an interview. It's a clean case. They love each other. Marriage is real, and they didn't have immigrant intent. I mean, they didn't really plan on staying in the United States. It just like was forced upon them because of COVID, and a lot of cases like that. And so they just made the most of it. So, okay, because they didn't necessarily want to stay here, but the longer COVID went, the wife found a job. The lifestyle all changed and what they expected when they came on that tourist visa. So that's a long answer that says, there's risks involved. All I can say is don't have the intent to stay. If you're asking this question, you probably intend on doing that. I can't recommend that. That's against the rules. But if someone's here and they changes their mind, it is possible, but you gotta be careful. Some officers will be skeptical and not believe that you changed your mind. I have a bunch of cases like this. I usually do marriage cases, which are usually lenient about. I don't know about EB3 and point-based case. But thanks for your question, yeah. One note, I want to announce our winner, Zazetuyizi. I think that's it, is Zazetyuuizy. Wherever you watch this, might be on TikTok. Take a screenshot so I can see your username and know it's you, and email me at info@jqqlaw.com. It's info@jqqlaw.com. And send me a screenshot so I know it's you, and we'll schedule a consultation, free 15 minutes video, so we can talk together in private to see what's going on and take it from there. For those just tuning in, we give out free video consultations. Just like, subscribe, wherever you're watching this, just like and subscribe and write consultation in the comments. And my wonderful assistant, Kayla, will name somebody in like 7 or 8 minutes, or I'll name them off and they could get a free consultation. And quick note, if you are interested in a marriage, fiance visa, green card, all that kind of stuff, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and learn about the whole process before talking with an attorney. All right, the next question, Edwin asks, my citizenship package was transposed by the post office. They put the wrong label. Instead of Dallas, got sent to ASC in Tustin, California. How can I get back, or will they send it to Dallas? I'm not sure how that happened, but typically if you send a package to the wrong USCIS lockbox, they'll correct themselves. I've never heard of it being sent to an ASC center where fingerprints happen. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know what's going to happen with that case, to be honest. I don't know what to tell you. That's a really bizarre situation to come back. I mean, I don't know. It's just a postal error that I've never heard of happening. I don't have an answer for that, Edwin. Sorry. Alex asked a question. Says, thanks, John. You're welcome, Alex. I appreciate the question. Love follows up. A U.S. consular officer has adjudicated and refused your visa application. Please follow any instructions provided by the consular officer. If you're informed by the consular officer that your case officer refused, okay, you're reading off what it says on the CEAC website, CEAC, if you check your case status based on your NBC case number. Your spouse, when they're at their interview, should have received a piece of paper from the consular officer that stated what they're thinking. Whether it's administrative processing, they're denied, or they needed more documents, it'll be in there. Love, we've talked before. I think they did say what it was. Unfortunately, if it's the bad stuff, then we can't, and in case it's sent back, it's sent back. But if it says this, that means you're stuck in administrative processing where they need to review the case more. That's as much I can tell from this little bit of information. Let's see. That's further. Okay, so Zatia asks a question. Just email me and we'll schedule a consultation. Mazi says I'm from New York. Thank you, Mazi. Good to have you on. And from Bronx, New York. God bless. Nazi asks, hi, John. For sibling cases, how long they send you to affidavit support? I think how long before, you're probably saying how long before you need it. So when you're filing a brother or sister case, you have to be a U.S. citizen, and you're filing a brother sibling case, an F4 preference category. It takes a lot of time, 10, 15, 20 years. When you first start, you file Form I-130 petition for alien relative, where you list your brother or sister's name. And that goes in the system to be adjudicated. And once it's approved, if it's approved, and I've seen cases, not up to me, but where there's missing documents and stuff, and then people don't respond in time, cases denied, it's a mess. But let's say I-130 is approved, you have to wait for the priority date to become current. The priority date is the date that you mail in the I-130 application. That's your place they put you in line. And because there's such a big line for brothers and sisters in cases, it takes a long time for your place in line to go in the front of the line. But once it gets there, 10, 15, 20 years, and you start the National Visa Center consular processing process, that's when you submit affidavits of support. So I'm not sure when you filed your case, but think like 15 years, 18 years, something like that. If your sibling's Mexican, born in Mexico, it might be 20 years plus. But when that process starts, when they're beginning the embassy accumulation of documents, that's when they request the affidavit of support for consular processing. I have a really detailed video, mucho detailed video about consular processing on my YouTube page. Just type in JQK Law consular processing. It breaks down every aspect of it. I have these long, detailed videos where I just explain what you need to do. And dozens of people have watched the live show have emailed me saying they just watch these videos and did the case on their own. I do my best to just support you all so you can help yourself. You don't always have to hire lawyers. Better you do, frankly. But I'm not here to hog all the information. I'm here to share it so people can help themselves as well. It's very expensive hiring, Tori. I know the reality. But if you can afford it, yeah, it's better. Or if you want to pay for it, it's better. But if you don't, we have the information out. It's not 100% because every case is different, but you can get a lot of information from the website about consular processing. It'll break it all down there for you. Okay, Randa as I applied for N400 just for citizenship and no interview yet. What's wrong with USCIS? They're just backed up. A lot of cases, not enough employees. The computer systems suck. All sorts of issues, but just gotta be patient. Navo says, is it safe to travel outside the United States while the I-751 is pending? So I-751 is when you had a green card based on marriage, and the green card is for 2 years. And at the 2-year mark, when it's about to expire, then you have to apply for a 10-year green card to prove your relationship is real. Is it safe to travel? I can't say whether it's safe for you because I don't know your background. But for most people doing I-751, as long as they file and get the receipt notice that acts as an extension of their green card for 2 years, the expired green card along with that extension, it is okay to travel. Now, if your case doesn't look good, usually, if you submit the case and it doesn't look good, what they'll do is they'll issue a request for evidence and RFE. But in the rare case where it's a really bad case and they I haven't seen this, but they just straight up deny it. If you're outside the United States, this is really bad news. So if you have a really bad case or you have criminal history or inadmissibility issues or travel is bad, I wouldn't do it. But for most cases of my clients where I know their case, I've never told an I-751 client not to travel if they want to. As long as they have their receipt in hand, the original, not their expired green card, they use that to travel. I haven't seen problems, but again, I don't know your case. I haven't dived deep into it to see what's going on. So that's general guidance right there. 29 Super sees yes, visa waiver interview, correct? Gotcha. Jordy asks, hi, send my application for advanced parole. It's taking about 8 to 11 months. What happens when the date of leave is already expired? So when you file Form I-131 for advanced parole, they ask you the date you plan on leaving and how long you're going to be out there. This date is arbitrary, and they don't go by it. Unless they want to mess with you, we have advanced parole we requested for a docket case, and they were hassling us about this, and we're able to fix it in the RFE. Really ridiculous. So a lot of times recently, I started writing TBD, to be declared, because we don't know when the advanced parole is going to be approved, so it's hard for us to guess when we're going to be leaving, except the fact that we're going to travel as soon as we get it because we need to. If it's you're doing like a marriage adjustment case and you file for advanced parole, the date doesn't matter at all. But if you're doing something like DACA advanced parole, my last case, they hassled us because it took so long that date passed. We just responded and said, listen, we're going to update our days to 3 months in the future from when we responded to RFE. Just give it to us as soon as possible because we don't know when you're going to approve it. We don't know when to say, but it's going to be whenever you approve it. We're going to immediately travel. So it depends on what kind of case you have, what you're doing. But overall, if it's already passed, it's fixable. I haven't seen that be a problem. if the date you listed on your advance parole for travel is already passed. I haven't seen that be an issue that's fixable. Elizabeth Darby asked, last week I called and rescheduled my interview because I did have COVID. How long before I get a new interview date? There's no fixed time. It might be a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. You typically don't want to miss your interview, but if you got COVID, unfortunately, then you got to do it. But there's no fixed time of when it's going to happen. Another issue that pops up is sometimes they may not reschedule; they'll deny you. A colleague, this is rare, but they had called in and got a rescheduling because they had got COVID or they're sick. They thought they got COVID, and then a second appointment was rescheduled like a couple months later, and they called in again and said, "This time I feel sick again. I can't come." And so they got to reschedule it. That's what they say. They don't. If you have COVID, it should be an easy rescheduling. They get a denial notice, and the colleagues share the denial notice. They said it's obvious you're not a responsible person, so we're not keep rescheduling for you because you're not, watching out. It's just the dumbest thing I heard in my life. It's really easy to open up something and fix it up when it's that ridiculous. But for the officer to say, in this scenario where there's a pandemic and people get sick and stuff like that, to say you're obviously not a healthy person, that you're not taking care and you're not taking it seriously. Who wants to get COVID? So it's a really ridiculous thing. It's not typical. Most USS employees are too responsible to say something ridiculous like that. But that stuff pops up, but it's fixable. I mean, how could you expect that kind of response? But overall, there's no timeline on when they'll reschedule. It's just whenever they have time. I do want to list the person who won our second free consultation raffle, Navajo TXO, Navjo TX. So if you're watching still, please take a screenshot of where you're watching this, and then so I can see your username, so I know it's you, and email to me at info@jqqlaw.com, and I'll respond with information about scheduling a private consultation, 15 minutes free. For those just tuning in, we give away free video consultations. One more left in a few minutes, 8 minutes or so. All you got to do is like and subscribe and write consultation, and wherever you can write a comment, and my wonderful assistant Kayla will name somebody in about 8 minutes or so, and I'll name them off. And as always, if you're interested in a marriage or fiance visa case, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com and learn what's up with the process. All right, let's see how many questions we have. A lot more questions, it seems. Chineri asks, why does a permanent resident parent in Texas file an I-130 for an adult child to be sent to Phoenix instead of Texas? So many years ago, probably like 20 years ago, when you submit an I-130, you would go to your local office, and there was a close relationship where you could walk in and talk to these officers. Lawyers got to know the officers. And they changed this because there's too much camaraderie going on. And so all applications essentially get sent to these lock boxes. So, for example, you're filing pretty much in most parts of America, if you're filing for a marriage adjustment case, the case just goes to Chicago, and then it gets redistributed there. If you're filing at Texas, apparently an I-130 without a child, it goes to, there's different mailing addresses that are fixed for large chunks of the country. It goes there, then it gets redistributed according to how USCIS wants to redistribute it. So that's just a standard way of detaching the lawyers from the people adjudicating the case that they started many years ago. So it's just, it gets sent there and then it gets redistributed. Probably end up in Texas, but who knows? But that's the reason why it's so weird that you have to mail to different places. Edwin Murillo says, I don't want to duplicate. My citizenship fee was included in my package. Bank cashier, thank you. This is a person whose case was kind of lost in the mail for citizenship. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. That's about it. Inked Up Amber says, how quick are 601 cases going? I've been checking lately, and a couple of days have passed in processing. I-601 waiver cases have taken over a year. So that's unfortunately just they're delayed, luckily for a year, but it's going to take a while. Elizabeth Darby says, my case I-45 interview. Yeah, sorry, I don't have any more information about that. User 9505. We got to delete these. I-751, a marriage-based 18 months waiting instead of approval, I guess, scheduled for interview. Is that normal? So they have removal of conditions. I-751 pending 18 months. They got an interview scheduled. It's not abnormal. It depends on your case. Sometimes they automatically schedule even if it's a good case, or sometimes there's problems with your case or they want to question you and stuff. I can't say it's normal or not because I don't know the details, but I've had recent case where they had the cleanest case possible and they scheduled an interview. We went there, interview was done in like 2 minutes. They just say, hey, how you doing? Look some paper, say you're approved. That's it. It's a complete waste of time for us to come there. I think the computer just automatically and randomly chooses people too. But that's about it. Just hopefully just be prepared. That's the main thing. I would highly recommend, if you have an I-75 interview, one is have a preparation session with an attorney to practice, and then if the attorney feels like you need it, then you definitely need to bring the attorney with you to the interview to watch out for your interests. Dion says hello to you. Um, DL says, expedite my case with a doctor paper 2 months ago. They denied. Can I do it again? My husband's in Africa. Yeah, just have better evidence or better explanation, that kind of stuff. You could request expedite again. That's possible. Hedra says, hello, can I apply for citizenship if I've been living in the US for 4 years, but I spent 6 months outside the United States? I'm a green card holder 10 years. I'd have to see the facts of your case. I did a really in-depth interview video on YouTube. Type in JQK Law Citizenship Timeline, and it really is. It really, people have emailed me thanking me that how well I broke this down, because I just explained it all. So when it comes to these timelines, you go there. I can't answer you specifically here because I need to know exactly that you're. When you say 6 months, I need to know the exact dates you were there, what's going on with your life, your background, where your house was, where your work was, where your family was, the reason you're out. I need to know too much, so I can't tell you if it's okay or not, based on this limited information. Either schedule a private consultation or at least start by viewing that video on YouTube. It'll help break down for most of the stuff. Edwin says, thank you, much appreciated. You're welcome. I wish you the best. Hopefully it gets worked out. Boca says, hi, what evidence can we provide if my husband owns a house and I don't have a social security number yet for the bills? Green card through marriage. Thank you. Well, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. There's a checklist there of stuff that'll help you out. But you could have insurances together. Some banks will allow you to open bank accounts with your spouse there. You could have letters from family and friends attesting to your relationship. You have photos. You might have travels and flights you did together, so travel records. You could have Amazon records. Maybe both your names will be on Amazon, showing that you're having stuff mailed to your house. You could be on utilities potentially, even if not on the house ownership. There's one on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, you could have wills and trusts in each other's names. You could have death benefits in each other's names. You could have, for example, life insurance benefits listing you. You could have there's these things that medical directives that say if I'm sick or in a coma, my spouse can make decisions for me. There's just a lot of stuff, and that's what consultations are for. And like when we work with us on a case, we just try to dig deep in your relationship and your background to find out and bring out stuff that we could document that are a couple kind of things to do to show your relationship's real. And so that's what we do. Yeah, but it's doable. Thanks for your question. Muhammad asks, hi, I had an interview in 2014 and got a 221 letter last year, September. My wife received a revoke letter. Then it went for adjudication. Now USA has approved in case now the embassy. How much time to come to my consulate? That's a mess that happened. I'm sorry to hear that. But there's no timelines of how long it takes the embassy for the consulate to request an interview. Right now it's taking forever. Really, that's the answer. Tony Marui, a regular, says, hi, John. Hi, good to see you, Tony. Omni asks, we're nearing the end of the show, so we'll get a couple more questions and announce the winner. Omni asks, I got my green card, but I haven't got my social security number. It's been more than 3 weeks. Contact social security office, see what they can do. Call them up. User 95 asks, instead of approval I-75 on marriage based in the U.S., I get scheduled for interview. Is this common? We talked about that earlier. It happens. Gandri asks, talk to a lawyer in private to prep you for that. I have lawfully and seen 3 days. I'm not sure what your question is. Lawfully and seen the 3 days ago, 97% work done, and now they moved my case. I don't know what that means. Sorry about that. Found me 2 years ago, 2 years, green card. How can I renew it? My spouse is citizen. Well, you got to file form I-751. So I've had 30 videos on this. Just type in YouTube, I-751 or removal conditions, and I break it down or schedule a consultation. We talk about it in private. Let's see. Io says, my wife applied for naturalization since 3 months and no interview. She wants to go visit her mom. Can she go? What are the implications? So, interview could take a year. So the timelines, I don't know. I can't say whether your wife could visit her mom or not because I don't know anything about your wife's paperwork or background stuff. So I can't give individual legal advice. But typically you could travel when you have a citizenship case pending. I just don't know about her case. But if she gets the interview scheduled, then you need to come back. Or there's fingerprints, you need to come back. Vitash says, I want an appointment. I call so many times but no response. Yeah, if you want to schedule an appointment, and I responded probably to you, I said, email me at info@jqqlaw.com. That's the only way to schedule a consultation with my law firm, info@jqqlaw.com, and describe the immigration issue that you have. And I'll reply with instructions if I could do your case or we could work on at least a consultation and what the procedures and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for calling out. Vika says, how long does it take for an interview? There's no timelines. It happens whenever it happens. Tony asks, hi, John. It's been a while since I bothered you. My case just got submitted to the National Visa Center. Can I expedite before it gets this documents qualified? Yeah, you could expedite. Hopefully you have good facts on it, but it's possible. Okay, we have a ton of questions. We're going to take one more. So hope it's a good one. How long does it take to US to process interview? Okay. How long does it take USCIS to process after N400 interview with name change? Um, if you had your interview, it just depends on whenever I have space for oath ceremony. So it just depends on the local office. I'll take one more question. I think your IO is regular. My wife has two jobs and she is my petitioner. She wants to leave one job. It's going to be an issue during the interview. Typically, they don't get into the work anymore once you file it, but it depends on how much income she's making from her existing job. You want to maintain the required amount of income. I don't know how much she makes or what her job is and all that kind of stuff. So I need to know more information about that, but it's not possible for sure. But I just don't have facts. Maybe it's okay. I don't know. So I'm going to end the show by announcing Head on a Shot. Thank you so much for watching the show. You are a winner for our last free video consultation for today, January 26th. What I want you to do is take a screenshot of wherever you're watching this and email it to me at info@jqklaw.com, and I'll reply with instructions on how to schedule a free video consultations. I'll catch you all next Wednesday. It's going to be in February by that point already. 6 p.m. Pacific time. As always, take your questions live. Thank you so much. Download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And if you did want to schedule a private video consultation with myself or my associate, Anya Sergeyeva, please email me at email us at info@jqklaw.com and briefly describe the immigration issue that you have so we know what kind of case it is. If it's one of the types of cases we typically handle. I wish you all the best. God bless. Be safe. Bye-bye.